We all want to feel peace in our lives. Peace in our choices, our beliefs, our relationships, and our environment. I've learned that this desired contentment is often found through holding on to less. When we pare down what we own, what we consume, and what we value, we're left with what's intentional, a personalized curation of what is important and true and useful to us. I'm Shannon Leyko, and you're listening to Paring Down, a podcast aimed at helping you declutter not only your home, but any area of your life that's overwhelming. Here, we're having interesting and honest conversations about the physical and mental clutter that drowns out what truly matters to each of us. And together, we'll learn how to pare it all down, not for the sake of perfection or becoming rigid, rather so we can move through life with less overwhelm and more joy, wisdom, and peace. 4 more days till Christmas, people. Buckle up. Have you wrapped all your presents? Have you finished shopping for all of your presents? How are you doing? Listen, I, at one point in my life, thought I would be the kind of person who had all of her gifts wrapped by the beginning of December, maybe even November. And then I realized that you really just can't put a Barbie dream house together ahead of time. Like, that just has to be done the night before, that sort of thing. Also, it's become like a really fun tradition with Aaron, with my husband, to stay up on Christmas Eve together, getting all the presents wrapped and put together as needed, making sure we have all the batteries and all of that stuff, and, you know, turning on a Christmas movie with Vanessa Hudgens in it. Because is it Christmas if you haven't watched one of Vanessa Hudgens' Christmas movies on Netflix? You know, like The Night Before Christmas, spelled with K-N-I-G-H-T, or my personal favorite, The Christmas Switch, which the movies just get progressively more ridiculous as they go on. Like, it starts with just like 2 people switching places, played both by Vanessa, obviously. And then all of a sudden there's like a third, and they're like triplets. And it's like, it's the correct amount of chaos for Christmas Eve. So do that with me if you haven't already, if you're not like one of those very responsible people that gets all of their wrapping done so they can just like quietly enjoy their tea on Christmas Eve. Like, that's just not how it goes down in the Leyko household, and I'm very okay with that. Anyway, the point is that Christmas is 4 days away. I hope that you guys are feeling good about it and feeling ready. Today is the very last installment of the mini-series we've been doing here on the Paring Down podcast, called Paring Down the Holidays. And it's just been a really special one for me. So thank you for being part of it. Today's the last one. And not only is it the last one, but it's actually a bonus episode, because this series is the gift that keeps on giving. No pun intended, with all the holiday gift giving going on. And next week, we will be back into talking more generally about decluttering. I'm excited to dive back in today with our guest, who was on the podcast just this past Tuesday, our usual episode release day. As I explained in that episode, Molly Stillman is a mother, she is a wife, she is a farmer, she is an author, she is a podcast host, she is a comedian. Molly's just the best. And if you didn't listen to the previous episode about why we celebrate the birth of Jesus and talking to Molly about that, please go back and listen. It is such an incredible episode. It truly helped me pare down my beliefs, which is what paring down is all about. And obviously goes beyond decluttering our homes, and it's decluttering our beliefs, our values, our minds, all of that. And the previous episode really did that for me when it comes to paring down my beliefs and understanding of who Jesus is. It's so valuable. And I didn't want to end the conversation with her, and we started diving into what was going to be the second half of one episode, and paring down these different traditions of Christmas, these holiday traditions. Where do they come from? What are their histories? And I realized it was going to be like a 2-hour long episode, and I didn't want to do that to you. So today is part 2. So if you're like, why does this intro not really make sense, and we're just like diving right back into a conversation, that is why. I did the official intro and said hello to Molly in the previous episode. So today is just a continuation of that conversation. As a little bonus episode, we're going to walk through some holiday traditions, whether it's December 25th or a Christmas tree or an advent calendar or Santa. Where do these cultural traditions come from, and pare down kind of what we think about them. And doesn't mean good or bad. We're not here to critique or to add guilt or shame or any of those things. It's just, I think so many of us go through life celebrating Christmas and we have no idea why we have a tree in our living room, right? Like, it's so bizarre. So I think it'll be fun to kind of dive into those. So these are mostly, just so you know, where I'm getting my facts and figures from are from like the History Channel and Britannica. Okay. These are not scholarly sources.
Britannica is its encyclopedia.
That's true. Okay. Britannica's better.
Yes.
History Channel, though, I will say I went and I always double checked and read a bunch of different sources and articles on each one to find the most prominent history for each one, starting with the birthday, December 25th. Okay, why did we decide that was Jesus's birthday? Here's the deal. No one really knows why. No one really knows why. There are a bunch of different theories as to why December 25th was chosen. But, you know, I think a lot of people are like, listen, this doesn't really make sense if you're going based on the Bible, because it says shepherds were in their fields. So this indicates a late summer or early fall birthday. Also, Mary and Joseph had to register, and censuses were normally taken in warmer months for easier travel because, as you mentioned, they did not have cars.
Right.
So then these are the few ideas as well as to why December then, if that historically doesn't really make sense. The first is that Sextus Julius Africanus was a Roman believer who believed that Jesus's conception was March 25th and 9 months later would be December 25th. So that was that. But I also don't really know how much I believe Sextus Julius Africanus, because he also claims to know exactly when Earth was created. And I feel like that's a stretch to say that you know that. So that's fun. Okay, the most loudly touted theory about the origins of the Christmas date of December 25th is that it was actually borrowed from a pagan celebration. But fear not, people who are like, oh my gosh, does that mean we can't celebrate it? No. The Romans had their midwinter Saturnalia festival in late December. Barbarian peoples of the northern and western Europe kept holidays at similar times. To top it off, in 274 CE, I actually, what is CE? Any idea what CE is?
It's the same thing as AD. It's like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's like, it's the same thing as AD.
Okay. Yeah. They should have just said AD. Keep it simple, people. Okay, so to top it off, I think you're right, because I read somewhere else that it was like 200 AD that this happened. So this tracks. 274 CE, AD, whatever. The Roman Emperor Aurelian established a feast of the birth of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, on December 25th. So Christmas, the argument goes, is really a spin-off from these different pagan solar festivals. And according to this theory, early Christians deliberately chose these dates to encourage the spread of Christmas and Christianity throughout the Roman world. If Christmas looked like a pagan holiday, more pagans would be open to the holiday and the God whose birth it celebrated. So to me, it's not as scary to be like, oh, this is born of a pagan tradition. I'm like, actually, I think this is born of the Great Commission, go make disciples of all nations, and people just trying to get creative. How can we make people listen to the story of Jesus? So
one of the common theories I'd always heard was that it was similarly to that. It was that actually Catholics were, I think it was Catholics, were basically trying to overshadow the pagan worship of the winter solstice. And so, because the winter solstice is a really big deal in pagan cultures and in a lot of pagan worship. And so basically just trying to take the winter solstice and turn it into the worship of Jesus, which is kind of on the similar lines. And so that was just one of the theories that I'd always been told. And so it's just, you know, at the end of the day, like, we don't know the exact day. Yes, he was probably born more than likely in the summer. But the same thing is like, you know, you're blowing up your nativity when I'm like, guys, like, the wise men were not there when he was born. Like, he was probably a toddler. Like,
right. Like, I again, don't know how God works, but like, would he send a baby to be born in a manger when it's negative 10 degrees outside?
No.
Like, I just feel like that's not how God's smarter than that. Let's be honest. Okay, that is like very much just a Shannon side note. Like, please don't take that with any form of legitimacy. Okay.
I like it.
And you know, the one thing that though I want to say on this is that The History Channel, a secular group, does recognize that Jesus walked the earth, as do most historians. They share
Yes.
that within a few decades of his lifetime, Jesus was mentioned by Jewish and Roman historians in passages that corroborate portions of the New Testament that describe the life and death of Jesus.
He's also in
And
the
so,
Quran.
yeah, he's in the Quran. Yes, it's like I said, and we talked about earlier. It's pretty clear that Jesus did exist. So, in your opinion, do you think it matters when we celebrate his birthday?
I don't think it matters.
I agree. Period. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to you, what is the point of celebrating his birthday? What is the point of celebrating Christmas?
There's kind of two things to it. I mean, God is a God of celebration. We can see all over the Bible that God loves to celebrate. So like it's biblical to celebrate. It is biblical to party. It's biblical to have fun and to dance and to laugh and to fellowship with your family and your friends. Like that is biblical. It's all over the Bible. And so celebration in general is just absolutely biblical. Highly recommend a book by my friend Nicole Zazowski. I think it's literally called What If It's Wonderful? And it's she really digs into a biblical celebration. And so great book. It's not Christmas related, but I think she talks about Christmas in there. It's been a couple of years since I read it, but in any event, What If It's Wonderful by Nicole Zazowski. So that's the first part is it's biblical to celebrate. And then the second thing is, I love thinking about the fact that God could have come to earth in any form that he wanted. I love Phil Wickham's new Christmas song this year called Manger Throne. It is so good. It's so beautiful because he talks about the fact that like, God could have sent his son to earth on a stallion. He could have sent his son to earth on fiery clouds. He could have come down like on a golden throne, and he didn't. He came down a vulnerable, helpless baby. I mean, think about like babies. Babies are the most vulnerable, helpless being, and we have God in flesh who sent his own son as a baby in a manger, a helpless baby who pooped, and his mom had to change a diaper or what, a loincloth, whatever it was. I mean, he had to breastfeed. I mean, he was reliant on his earthly parents for everything until he became an adult man. He had to go to school, and he played rough in the streets with his friends, and he was probably made fun of. And like, I mean, the prophecies of him too is that he was not handsome. He was kind of just ordinary, average looking, if not maybe even a little ugly. And the fact that God chose to send his very own son in this way is just beautiful. And so I love having the opportunity to celebrate that and to talk about that with my family and my kids and myself, and to just praise God for how he made a way in such a unique and beautiful way.
Yes, because babies are a miracle in and of
Yes.
themselves. I do. I love that. We celebrate our own birthdays. I mean, hey, and Jesus is more important than we are.
I do wonder though, like these are questions I ask. This is Molly asking, this is not the Bible. Is like, did Jesus have tantrums? Like, did he like get real mad when Mary told him that like he couldn't play with like, some stick anymore? That she was like, Jesus, you need to put the stick down. And he's like, but I want to play with the stick. Like he was sinless. So, and
so
kids
how
are
early is sin?
right. So is that sin that he was like, throwing a tantrum? I don't know. Like, these are questions that I have.
I have the same ones.
So many questions about that. I really, really love to think about these things. And I realize that is ridiculous, but I genuinely wonder that all the time. Like, I just go, like, did Mary ever just go be like, Joseph, I'm tapping out. Like, it's all you now. Like, I'm tapping out on parenting for a while. Like, I want to know.
I hope she did. If Jesus was a bit of a tantrumy toddler, I hope Mary had the support she needed.
I know.
Okay, so our next tradition we're going to talk about are Christmas trees. Okay. I found out a lot about where they might have stemmed from. No pun intended. Where they
Love
stemmed
it.
from. But the most common one is that the modern Christmas tree originated in Germany, where families set up a paradise tree in their homes on December 24th, the religious feast day of Adam and Eve, and they hung wafers on it, symbolizing the Eucharistic host, the sign of, with the Christian sign of redemption. Have you heard of anything different when it comes to Christmas
No,
trees?
that's pretty much what I've heard.
Yeah, Germany sounds good. And then interesting how they came over to America, though. So, a New York woodsman named Mark Carr is credited with opening the first U.S. Christmas tree lot in 1851. A 2019 survey by the American Christmas Tree Association, love that that exists,
Love that.
predicted that 77% of U.S. households displayed a Christmas tree in their home. That is a massive percentage.
Yeah.
Okay, so trivia. Among the trees displayed, how many do you think, Molly, are artificial and how many do you think are real, percentage wise?
I'm going to go. This is a complete guess. I don't know, but I'm going to guess 60% real, 40% artificial.
I would have said the same thing. I feel like real Christmas trees are a thing. I grew up with a real Christmas tree.
I always
We
grew up
just
with a real Christmas tree.
we just don't right now because like my kids will eat the pine needles.
So
And
we switched to artificial like 3 years ago, and I still like it breaks my heart a little bit because the prices went up so much. Like we went to get a Christmas tree. I want to say it was like Christmas of 2020, like December 2020. And I mean, we went to a couple different lots and they were astronomically expensive for a fake tree or for a real tree. I mean, it was over $100 for a real tree. And I was just like, absolutely not. Like, I'm going to get a fake tree for $100.
right.
And it breaks my heart because I love having a real tree, but the prices just shot up way too much for me.
Yeah, I still have a vision in my head of the little handwritten price tags, and the biggest tree in the lot when I was a kid was
Yeah.
$89.99
Yeah. That's the
for the biggest
biggest
one.
tree.
Right.
And now they're like, I mean, I saw a tree in one of the lots that was like $250 for a
No.
real tree that is going to die in a month.
And probably bring spiders into your house.
And probably
Like,
bring
let's
spiders.
all calm down. Well, okay, I have the answer for you. It's 81% are artificial. And
Wow.
only 19% are real.
That's yeah, that's
So
not
those
that
of you
good.
patting yourself in the back and think that you're better than us because you have a real tree, well, you are. You're
Yeah. Also, you
no,
must
but
be very wealthy, which is fine. I'm like no judgment. Like I love it. And
yeah,
I'm not saying like we're certainly we're comfortable financially. I just was not comfortable spending 100 some odd dollars on a tree.
I know. I would like to go real in the future, but we'll see how financially we feel when we get there. But
Yeah.
again, I'm at the stage where my toddlers use the like the water as a water table underneath the tree and
Oh
such.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
the hard pass for me. Um okay, and question for you because this is just for funsies. They used to decorate it, with like I said, wafers or different treats on the tree. How do you decorate your tree? Do you do pretty tree or do you do personalized chaos
Always
tree?
personalized tree. My whole life, personalized tree. I admire the people who do the beautiful matchy matchy amazing trees. That is not my journey. I would love I have a friend who over the past couple of years, like she now has multiple trees where she has one that's like a pretty tree, then she has a kid tree. She has a like we live in the, the area where we're big Carolina Tar Heel fans. And so she has a Carolina Tar Heel tree. So like, because they have so many Carolina ornaments that they just decided to decorate an entire tree that's just Carolina tree. So that's not us. We just have one, but they're mismatched. They're handmade, but every single ornament tells a story, and that is way more meaningful to me than I admire the pretty trees, but that's not my jam.
I'm the same way. And I mean, obviously, as somebody who like tries to declutter her life, I just feel like multiple trees is a bit much for me and how I want to be able to spend my time
Yeah, for a
maintaining.
decluttering person, you probably don't want multiple trees, but
No, I just don't want the cleanup. I'm like, I don't have anything against it. Like, do what makes sense. I'm sorry, by the way, my contact fell out earlier while you were talking. I don't know if you saw me reinsert my contact
oh,
in
it's
my
fine.
eye, but that is what I'm messing with right now.
Totally fine.
Anyway, yeah, no, the multiple tree thing, I don't judge people for it. I think it's fun for them, but like for me, I'm like, I just don't have the energy to clean up that many trees and store that many ornaments. So chaotic tree all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to we did the date and now we did trees. Now we're doing advent calendars. Okay, this one's fun. early versions of this tradition started in Germany. So thank you, Germans, for just making our lives so magical
Yeah,
this
they also have
season.
the pickle
Yes.
thing. My kids
Yes.
do the pickle where like, and if you're like, what is the pickle thing? It's like you do a pickle ornament and you hide the pickle ornament in the tree. We don't do the present with if you find the pickle, but my kids just they make it a constant game. So like they take turns throughout the entire month the tree is up. They take turns hiding it, and then and they hide it in like within the tree, and I still can't find it. And then they just like it's like props when you find it, and then the next when once this Lily finds it, then Amos will hide it, and then um or you know what I'm saying, like they
Yeah.
switch off. Anyway, that's a German thing too.
That makes me want to do the pickle thing
It's
more
really
because I was like,
fun.
I don't have the energy for like a whole nother thing. But if it's just funsies for the kids, because
It's
let's
just
be honest,
fun.
they all redecorate the tree constantly anyway. Might as well have
Yeah,
one they're
yeah,
supposed to move.
yeah, 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 absolutely. Get a pickle ornament, and mine is literally like the kids made it out of paper, like it's a paper pickle.
A
So you
paper
don't.
pickle.
Yeah, they cut out and colored a pickle, and then they just hung it on the tree, and then they hide it.
How big is that? How many inches are we
It's not
talking?
big. I'm talking. It's probably like 3 inches.
Okay. this,
Three
this
inches.
conversation should not be taken out of context. Okay.
Three
All
inches.
right. So moving on, starting in Germany in 1903 by publisher Gerard Land. It was to offer the advent calendars were a way to offer children to count down to Christmas by opening the door or window to reveal a Bible passage, poem, or a small gift. Since gaining mass popularity not until 1920, so they have not been around in our little world very long, but I mean, us being the modern humans. Let's see, 1920 mass popularity. The calendars have evolved to secular calendars that include daily gifts from mini bottles of wine to nail polish to chocolates to action figures. Do you guys do an advent calendar?
So I've never been great with doing Advent, but it was really funny. So in my life group, like text message group text, a couple weeks ago, one of my friends had texted and she was like, "Hey, I'm headed to Aldi this morning because today's the Advent calendar release." And like my whole text thread started blowing up with like, "Ooh, get me a bluey calendar. Ooh, get me a chocolate Advent. Ooh, get me the beer one." And I was like, did I miss a memo? Like, is this a thing? And apparently the Aldi Advents are like really popular. Anyway, apparently I was the one in my life group who did not get the memo about the Aldi Advent calendars. Um, so
You are
last year,
very behind the times.
very
No,
behind the times.
I am too. I don't know what they're talking
Last
about.
year, my kids got, as a gift from one of their aunts, they got a Lego Advent calendar that they loved, and it was like every day they pulled out a new thing and they like put together a little Lego thing. This year, I will admit that I may or may not have been influenced by somebody, and I got my daughter a Taylor Swift Advent calendar, and I am, yeah, yeah,
They
and
have
it
that?
has it's so there's different ones, but I got her the charm bracelet one, and so there's a charm bracelet, and then every day throughout Advent you pull out a different Taylor Swift charm for the charm bracelet, and I was like,
Okay.
sold.
Yeah, I'm ordering that immediately. My
Yeah, I
4 year
got it
old's
on
obsessed with
Amazon.
Taylor
Just
Swift.
search like Taylor Swift Advent calendar, and there's a bunch of different ones. There was one that was like stickers, tattoos, like anyway. I realized it's like the not Christ-like thing at all. And then I got my son a Pokemon one.
Love it.
Because he's big into Pokemon. But I will say, like, we have tried to do better about talking about like what is Advent. It's not just like opening up a random Taylor Swift charm every day. But I do also believe in like the fun and the magic of Christmas and just doing some of that fun stuff like that. But we do try to do an Advent devotional. And so we try to talk through it, but I will be honest, I've never been like great at that.
You know what? Same. I mean, because Advent, it's the Latin word for coming. So in the Christian church
Yeah.
calendar, the period of preparation for the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ at Christmas, and it also preparation for the second coming of Christ. Like that is what Advent means.
Right.
But I'm with you. Like I think I've definitely fallen into the more like cultural display of Advent, but I don't think that's like a sin in and of itself by any
No,
means. I think it's fun and
it's
it's
fun.
great to have fun. I'm definitely ordering the Taylor Swift one. But in terms of focusing us back on Jesus, what are some things you do to prepare your heart for the celebration of Jesus?
Yeah, so I mean we're big into just Christmas music, and we love So every year, I mean, on Christmas Day, like we are the family that before we open presents, like we read the Christmas story in the Bible and we talk about it. And we try to make it fun with the kids. And I have my best friend, they make a birthday cake for Jesus every year, which I think is really cute with their kids. So they, as a family, they make a birthday cake and they talk about all the different, like, I can't remember. So I won't butcher it, but it's like every ingredient like represents something about the birth of Christ. And then they bake a cake and then they sing happy birthday to Jesus. And I think that's really sweet. So there's different ways that you can do it. But I think it's all about just your mindset and your heart for the season and reminding the kids like what this really is about.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to end with the big kahuna, and that is Santa Claus. So, the legend of Santa Claus can be traced back hundreds of years to an early Christian bishop named Saint Nicholas.
Sant Nikolai.
Saint Nikolai. It is believed that Nicholas was born sometime around 280 AD. What other thing was that we talked about was like in the CE thing? Hold on, I want to go back to that. This is like the same time. Same. Sorry, let me
the
Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Emperor, sorry.
Emperor, the Roman emperor.
When we were talking about the date, December 25th. Huh, okay, just probably coincidental. Yeah. Okay, so believe that Nicholas was born sometime around 280 AD in modern Turkey. Much admired for his piety and kindness. Is that how you say it? Piety? It's piety, right?
Yeah, piety.
Okay, God. Oh my gosh. Like started questioning myself and I'm like, do I even know the English language?
I think it's a tomato situation. I think some people would say piety, but I think piety is correct. I don't think that's wrong.
Right. It sounds like pie. We're going to go with it. St. Nicholas became the subject of many legends, saying that he gave away all of his inherited wealth and traveled the countryside helping the poor and the sick. And so he made his first inroads into American popular culture towards the end of the 18th century. In December 1773, a New York newspaper reported that groups of Dutch families had gathered to honor the anniversary of his death in 1773. And then the name Santa Claus evolved from Nick, this whatever I'm reading from just suddenly called him Nick, like they're old friends. But anyways,
it's not Nick.
From Saint Nick. Santa Claus evolved from Nick's Dutch name Sinterklaas. And that's spelled Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas. A shortened I know. A shortened version, a form of Sint Nicolaas, Dutch for St. Nicholas. Okay, so in 1804, a member of the New York Historical Society distributed woodcuts of St. Nicholas at the Society's annual meeting. And the background of these engravings contained now familiar Santa images, including stockings stuffed with toys and fruit hung over a fireplace. So that's how that came about. So just curious, Molly, how do you reconcile Santa and Jesus with your babies? Do you still have believers and how do you manage that transition?
So I'm going to give you a hot take.
Okay, give me a hot take.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't do Santa.
You don't do Santa? Okay, give me the hot take.
We don't. Now, I feel like because this has like people have big opinions about this.
I know.
Okay. So I feel like I need to give some like serious disclaimers here. If you do Santa Claus, that is 100% fine. Like
Molly thinks you're going to hell if you do Santa Claus.
I don't judge a single person who does Santa Claus. Just like I don't want you to judge me that we don't do Santa Claus. And I grew up in a home that was big into Santa. My husband grew up in a Christian home where they were big into Santa. It was a decision that John and I made. I mean, even after Lily was born, when she was a baby, I mean, like obviously she didn't know what's going on. So like we had a couple of years before it was like she was cognizant of like what is happening at Christmas. And we really wrestled with this. Like, do we do Santa? Do we not do Santa? Do we do Santa? Do we not do Santa? And we ended up choosing not to. And everyone around us thought we were insane. And so many people we have had some really hurtful things. And like, I think people don't mean it to be that way, but they're just like, you're taking the magic out of Christmas, like blah, 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 like, so I get it. People have really strong opinions on this. We personally made the decision after a lot of back and forth, that we weren't going to do it. And it was a variety of discussions went into this. Like this was not a decision we made hastily. Okay. And again, we have family that do Santa. We grew up doing Santa. So this is like it. I truly believe it is like, your family and your family's culture well. And here is why the ultimate crux of why we chose to not do Santa. Again, I feel like because people have big feelings about this, and I'm not saying that because we believe this, that you are doing this. Can you tell that we've had people
Take
really give
note,
us
people. Take notes. Take some deep breaths, and
the
we're going to hear why.
biggest thing, and it wasn't even really the biggest thing that we were like, oh, well, we really want the focus to be on Jesus. The biggest thing for us was the lying aspect. So, and I get it because people are like, well, I'm not lying to my kids. Like, we're just doing fun. If you don't see it as lying to your kids, it's fine. But we have a set of family values, of family rules in our household. And one of the I think the number one rule in our household is honesty. And so we have created an atmosphere in our home where honesty and telling the truth to one another, me and my husband, between me and my kids, between my husband and my kids, between them and us, like it's honesty and telling the truth is the number one thing that we drill into them. Like it is just, we're really, really key about it. So like, I mean, even as, my daughter's 10, like she has asked me some real fun doozies in the last couple of years that I was like, okay, so I was not prepared for that question, but because we have created an atmosphere in which she is not afraid to ask me a single question. And so it's created a level of trust. And so because honesty is so important in our house, we felt like if we do Santa, they're gonna eventually find out that Santa's not real. Sorry if little ears are.
I'll give a disclaimer at the beginning of the
Yeah.
episode. Like,
Doors
hey,
in.
if you have kids, don't listen.
Don't to the end. Just beware.
Turn it down.
That that when they find out that they're gonna then. Could there be a potential that they would then question other things we've told them that we told them we weren't lying? And so again, I understand that is not everybody's perspective. It was just, you have to make the decision as to like, what is your primary family value? And one of ours is honesty and truthfulness. And so that was kind of the deciding factor for us, was that we didn't ever want our kids to have an excuse or a reason to think that we've been lying to them. Now, there are certainly times where they will ask us questions where we will say, I cannot answer that because you're not ready for the real answer. Or I will answer it partly in a way that is age appropriate. So there are certainly questions where we don't necessarily give a full answer, but we tell them that. We don't lie to them. But I mean, and so that, on the flip side, like if I catch my kids lying, that is one of
Bad
the
news.
biggest, it's the biggest, it's arguably the biggest thing that we've had to deal with we've had a couple of instances in which we've caught our kids lying, about little things, and one time about a big thing. And they face some pretty serious consequences because we want to drive home the fact that like honesty and trustworthy is the number one family value that we have.
Yeah.
Is building trust as a family. And so that was our ultimate reason. I realized that again, people are going to disagree, but I will say we still have Santa things around. Like we still go take pictures with Santa. Like Santa's just a fun part of Christmas. We just don't do the like, he's coming down a chimney and like, he's watching you all year. And like, we don't do presents from Santa, anything like that. Like that's just, we don't do that part. But we certainly we sing Santa Claus songs and we go see so I was really
He's just
worried.
a fun figure.
Yes, I was really worried that we were going to miss out on the magic of Christmas. We have not one time missed out on the magic of Christmas. Like Christmas is still just as magical without Santa as it was with Santa when I was growing up. So,
yeah, something I have one friend who recommended this, and I thought like, oh, that's a great take. I think it's something we might adopt as I have a 5-year-old who I think is probably on the crux of deciding whether or not Santa is real. And we do Santa. But one thing she said, and I've made sure of, is that if they ask, like, is Santa real? She said that's the point where she will not say, yeah, of course. She says, do you think Santa is real? Turn it back on them. And if they say, I don't know, I'm not sure, and then asking questions, how would you feel if he isn't? Blah, 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 and talking through it to the point where they can either decide that they don't want to know, or it becomes
Yeah.
clear that you need to share this with them, and I thought that was really great. And she said, and then we just gamify it and we say, hey, mommy and daddy were doing this because it's a really fun Christmas game. And once you're old enough, then you kind of get in on the other side of the game and learn. And so she says, her 7-year-old loves to make like Santa footprints in the snow and still make the cookies and gamify it. This is just a fun Santa game,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a lovely way of doing it too. And like you said, it's all when it comes to any parenting decision, when we make a decision for our family, immediately or someone makes a decision for their family, we immediately take it as a criticism of us making a different decision from our family,
Right.
when those things are so separate.
Totally.
That's from sleep training to what we feed our kids, all of that. So I hear I hear your
100%.
concern on that, but I thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and this is just fun little facts too, I wanted to say here at the end, but like leaving cookies for Santa, where did that come from? I was curious. So I'll read that for people. While leaving treats for Santa and his reindeer dates back to the ancient Norse mythology. I don't even know what that is. Americans began to sweeten up to the tradition during the Great Depression in the 1930s as a sign of showing gratitude during a time of struggle. I thought that was really cool. And then I wanted to know about the reindeer. So in 1821 is when there was an illustrated children's poem, Old Santa Claus with Much Delight, which had the first known mention of a reindeer pulling Santa's sleigh. The much more famous poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, better known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, gave Santa 8 reindeer. So those were poem based, were the reindeer, which makes sense. Only a poet would come up with like a flying sled and reindeer.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like we read The Night Before Christmas every year. Like we totally make Christmas cookies. Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
It's still fun. It's fun to talk about and just like for
Super fun.
funsies.
Super fun.
Do you do? I'm gonna guess based on no Santa. You don't do Elf on the Shelf.
No, absolutely not. Hard pass.
No, same.
I do you. I do judge you if you do. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
Absolutely not. That is a hard pass on the Elf on the Shelf. My kids, I remember one year were like, because I have a friend who like they do it, but they do it just for fun. Like they don't.
not like this elf is watching you.
real.
That part I struggle with.
Yeah, no, and I just was like, my kids came home one day and they were like, all my friends do Elf on the Shelf, and I was like, that's great for your friends. That is, the holidays are already too stressful. You don't need me coming up with these creative things for the elf and the trouble to get into every night. Hard pass. Again, if that is your journey, I love that journey for you. Not a Stillman family journey.
Correct. As somebody who's decluttering her life, you can probably guess that Elf on the Shelf also does not exist in our house. Not only because the origins of like Elf is watching you for behavior and that kind of thing, but I know there's most people, I would say, don't approach it with that Big Brother is watching thing anymore. So it's not like that's an issue. But for me, it was definitely like you said. The overwhelm of Christmas is too much already. I don't need to add a crazy elf to our shelf.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And especially in the last couple of years, like being a church planter and Bert being in leadership at a church plant, the Christmas season is busy enough.
Exactly.
I am all good on not adding another thing, but I know some people that love it. And I think it's funny. Like I love some of the funny things that people will put their elves in. And other than that, it's going to be a no from me.
Yep, exactly. It's a good for you and it's a no for me.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the final 2 questions that I ask everybody on the podcast. Okay, what is one thing you'd like to or are currently paring down? So that means just trying to get a better understanding of, maybe decluttering something physical, or just something you want to start doing more intentionally. What's one thing you'd like to or are currently paring down?
Clothing in my household. Children's clothing overwhelms the you know what out of me. And then just also mine in general. Like I said, like I love fashion. I love style. That has always been really fun for me. But since we moved to the farm, I guess we moved here. I mean, it's been almost 3 years at this point that we've lived here. And like, I look at over half my closet now and I'm like, I don't wear any of this stuff because I feed chickens. And so I'm really into like cute loungewear. Like that's my jam these days. Is I like cute. I want to look cute. But I also don't really like have a reason to wear, nice shoes like anymore. Like I wear my work boots if I'm outside. So I've got some like sneakers, cute sneakers, but clothing in general is the big thing that I am just on I mainly kids clothes stress me out. But just it's on the way out and I'm working on it. It's a slow process.
Love it. Oh my gosh. I love when I can go into a closet and have pared it down. It's a really good feeling and I'm excited for you.
I'm never going to be a capsule closet person.
Oh, me neither. Have you seen what's behind me in my
Yeah.
closet? Not a capsule wardrobe.
Right.
That's like the nicest part of my closet because it's what's obviously on video, but like
Yeah.
I promise you there's a lot going on over here.
Yeah. I love
That's
it.
pink. Okay. And what is something that you are looking forward to right now? It could be as simple as like your child not being sick anymore, or it can be, anything you want. Holidays, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Christmas. And I think in a lot of ways too, because I'm in the book launch season. It's been a really busy couple of months and it's not bad. And I'm somebody who does not glorify busy. I do not like to be like, I'm so busy. Like I that's not me. But it has legitimately been a really busy couple of months just with finishing a book and editing a book and then now marketing a book. And then church plant life is very busy. And so that plus farm stuff. And it's a lot. It's a lot of things. I don't have a ton of margin, which I'm actively trying to create margin in my life. And so I think that the holidays allow for that and give you some of that margin. And so I'm trying this year to pare down and just like focus on what actually matters. And so like we put up the tree, we put up the stockings, I'll do some decorations, but like I'm not going to go over the top and stress myself out. I'm just not going to do that. And so I'm looking forward to just chilling and taking a nap.
You hit the nail on the head about why I'm so passionate about decluttering and living more intentionally with less is because it gives you that bandwidth and that margin to focus on what's actually important and not let the clutter take over, whether that's schedule clutter or physical clutter or whatever. So I love that answer. And Molly, thank you so much for your extended time today.
Yeah,
there
this
is
was great.
so much.
So fun.
I love it. And where can everyone follow you?
So my website is stillbeingmolly.com, although mollystillman.com works as well. I'm on all the socials. I'm at stillbeingmolly. And yeah, you can pre-order my book right now, which is really helpful for authors. If you pre-order their book, you can get it wherever books are sold. I believe when this airs, Barnes and Noble is going to be doing like a special discount on the book. So if you pre-order it at barnesandnoble.com, there will be a special pre-order discount on my book. So I think it'll be the cheapest price you can get it anywhere. So
what a great holiday like pre-gift, because Aaron knows, my husband knows, I read constantly. I don't need the book in my hand right now. Just tell me it's coming, and that to me is the gift.
Yes, yeah, you could like and I think we're actually going to be putting something out too where if you want to get the book for somebody as a gift who's a bookworm, there will be like a little thing that you can like put in their stocking to let them know like, hey, the book will be delivered to you on March 26th. So
I love that.
Let me know when this is going to air because I'll send you the thing because I'm pretty sure we're going to have like a little printable that you can print out so that like if you do pre-order it that you can print it out and put it in somebody's stocking.
Perfect. And I will have all of this information in the show notes, everybody. So thank you again, Molly. I just adore you.
I love you.
And I'm just so happy we got to connect and chat for a million years.
I love it so much. It was so much fun.
You just listened to an episode of Paring Down with me, Shannon Leyko. If you enjoyed the show, it would mean the world if you can leave a review wherever you listen and share this episode with a friend. Those reviews really are what keeps a podcast on its feet for the long haul, and I will read every single one with a huge smile on my face, so thank you ahead of time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, be sure to follow along on Instagram at Paring Down Podcast, where I offer lots of tips and inspiration for paring down, along with what's new here on the podcast. Till next time.